So the Huawei P50 and P50 Pro are finally official, and they're about 3 months later than what we anticipated from Huawei. So usually you see the P series come out sometime in April. However, due to whatever Huawei had going on, they pushed the launch of the P50 series up until July, and we saw the launch of the smartphones yesterday officially, with them set to be available sometime starting September, with the units shipping at the end of August. But before we get into the surprising aspects about both of these smartphones, I just want to go over the basics and go over what these smartphones bring. First of all, they're not your average run-of-the-mill smartphones. They have this double ring design at the back that sort of emphasizes the camera layout a lot, and it looks definitely different from the other smartphones we've seen for the year and even before that. So I don't really want to make a judgment on how they look before I have the smartphone in hand, and I think these are smartphones that you can only judge once you see them in action in front of your eyes. So that's my opinion on the design. I do like it. It is standout, but I will reserve my final judgment for when I see the device in my hands. Once you flip over the phones, the changes in design are evident here too. So the P40 series from last year had a pill hole style design cutout, so it was on the left side of the smartphone with 2 camera housings. However, with the P50 series, Huawei's gone back to the traditional and the more conventional single hole punch style design with a 13 megapixel camera on the front, which I tend to prefer. Now, the Huawei P50 has a 6.5 inch display. This is an AMOLED display with a 90 Hz refresh rate, whereas the Huawei P50 Pro goes for a 6.6 inch display with a full 120 Hz refresh rate, a first for Huawei, and a curved design. So that's sort of the difference in the display between both of the smartphones. As far as the overall technology goes, you get HDR certification as well as a 300 Hz touch sampling rate. So they're both similar and different depending on the specifications you look at. And while we are discussing design and sort of hardware, I do want to point out that the Huawei P50 and the P50 Pro now both come with IP68 water and dust resistance. I think this is a first for the Huawei P50 and not so much a different territory for the P50 Pro. The Pro series has always had this, but given that the P50 or the regular vanilla P50 series is getting it, it's a good move. So in terms of overall hardware and design, I think you've got pretty much everything covered and Huawei's done a good job. But the weirdest aspect about the Huawei P50 series of flagships is the fact that they don't come with any 5G connectivity. They come with a special version of a Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 processor with 4G support. And I thought I would never say Qualcomm Snapdragon and Huawei together, but here we are. So the Huawei P50 only has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 4G processor, whereas on the P50 Pro you can go with either the Qualcomm processor or the Kirin 9000 4G processor. But there is no 5G support, which is an omission that I'm sort of confused about. Although the worldwide chip shortage in general might be one of the biggest factors contributing to why Huawei had to maybe forcefully make this change. But that begs the question, why didn't they just go for something like a mid-range Qualcomm Snapdragon 778 5G chip? It's also got 5G connectivity. In fact, it's even on the Honor 50, which is a carbon copy of the P50. And that is because of image signal processing. So if you look at these mid-range smartphones, they don't have the best image signal processor, which is a very important aspect of making sure that the photos from your cameras look as good as possible. And Huawei probably didn't want to sacrifice on their photography-centric P series by bringing in 5G but sacrificing on photography, so they've made that choice. Both the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 4G as well as the Kirin 9000 4G come with these flagship image signal processors, and I think because of that, photography is going to look better than it could have been on, let's say, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 778 chip. And maybe Huawei thinks 5G isn't as important yet, although that doesn't make sense because Huawei did say that 5G is the future just a few months ago. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I think with that, I'm gonna leave you to your thoughts. Maybe in the comments, let me know why you think Huawei did it. But I think it's a good time to now move on to the cameras, having talked about image signal processing so much. So the P50 and the P50 Pro, if you look at the cameras on the back, they look like dual camera setups, but in fact they have 3 cameras on the P50 and 4 cameras on the P50 Pro. So the P50 has a primary 50 megapixel camera alongside a 13 megapixel ultra wide and a 12 megapixel telephoto camera with 5x optical zoom, as well as 50x digital zoom and optical image stabilization. The P50 Pro has the same 50 megapixel camera, this time with optical image stabilization on board, as well as a separate 40 megapixel color sensor. And apparently this color sensor is responsible to fine-tune sort of the colors that the camera sensor sees and make sure the end result is as close to reality as possible. It shares the same 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, although when it comes to the telephoto lens, you're looking at a big difference. This one has a 64 megapixel sensor with a 3.5x optical zoom range, so apparently this zoom range is smaller than the P50, which doesn't quite make sense. I'll have to have both of the smartphones with me to check it out, but it does have a 100x digital zoom range. You can also record all your videos and pretty much everything you can do on flagships on these smartphones. So as far as the camera package on paper is concerned, it's looking good, but we'll have to wait and see for real results. And I have seen one post from Golden Retriever. I don't know the exact source of the image, but they were comparing the image quality of the Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra to the Huawei P50 Pro, and apparently the 100x zoom range on the Huawei isn't as good as the Mi 11 Ultra. This might be due to the software that the phone is running, or maybe just due to the hardware capabilities of both of these smartphones, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. Although to make a final judgment, you need both the smartphones in hand and to see the differences for yourselves, which hopefully I will do in the next couple of weeks. As for other bits and pieces, you're looking at a base P50 coming with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, whereas the P50 Pro comes with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. The storage on both of these smartphones can be expanded via Huawei's NM memory card expansion, so no micro SD expansion, but you can do up to 256GB extra via Huawei's memory card. It also runs HarmonyOS, so HarmonyOS 2.0 is on top of sort of the hardware package, and the software experience might be very similar to the Huawei MatePad Pro 12.6, which I have been testing for a couple of days now. So if you want to check out my full review on that, definitely check out GN Tech. But there are ways to circumvent the lack of Google services, which Huawei provides and makes it intuitive and easy, although it might not be for everyone. So that's all I'm going to say about the software, because I have experienced it, but I haven't experienced it on the P50 series, so it might be slightly different or it might be just the same. So yeah, I think that's about all I can talk about without the smartphones in hand. The P50 has a 4100 mAh battery, whereas the P50 Pro has a 4360 mAh battery. Both of these support 66-watt wired fast charging, but only the P50 Pro supports 50-watt wireless charging, so wireless charging is an exclusive for the Pro variant of the P50 series. But also look at the fact that if you check out the Huawei Chinese website, where it talks to you about the things you get with the box on the smartphones, both the P50 and the P50 Pro do not mention including the charger or the cable to charge the smartphone included in the box, which means Huawei is also going the Apple and Samsung route, removing chargers altogether from their flagship smartphones. I don't know what I think about that. And if you want more information on what I genuinely think of that, make sure you check out this video that I've made linked above. But yeah, that's about it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Do let me know what you guys think about the P50 series down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more. This was Vaibhav, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.